All right. I'm going to do the invite. All right. What's going on, guys? I am doing a quick live today just because Sunday. It's snowing outside. We're expecting about 4 to 5 inches of snow. Mood snow, as they're calling it, but at least we can get a little bit of snow on the ground before Christmas, hopefully. Hey, Randy, how are you, buddy? Yeah, so today's a Sunday chat, and feel free to click on the link here if you're interested in joining the chat. Just hanging out, having a beer. I am drinking an Oktoberfest from a brewery called Firefly Hollow. It's the Bavarian style lager. Now, as far as home brewing, I really haven't done a lot of home brewing in recent months, just haven't had a lot of time. But hey, Randy, yeah, doing good. Just anything new going on? I'm not. I haven't really been too busy. Actually, I just finished up getting the last bit of machines in, and then I'm pretty much calling it quits the for the holidays. Obviously, I don't want to be hanging on to machines for over the holidays if I can help it. But I did have a first here in the last week. I just picked up. I think it's a 30-year-old mule. It's got a V-twin Kawasaki engine on it. Works on a local farm around here, and just needed an ultrasonic carburetor cleaning. But this thing was incredibly hard to get access to. It's got a dump cart in the back. It's run by hydraulics, and the engine's right underneath it. It was a little bit of a challenge to get to it, but because you're kind of inside the engine pretty deep just to get to the carburetor, and then you got the bed of the mule above your head, and you got to watch yourself from actually bumping your head. So, but yeah. So, what has been going on else? Um, I do want to have another live stream with James and Ken from Ken Small Engines, hopefully before the holidays. The hope is that if there's any questions on generators or just really anything to chat, I have quite a bit of hobbies here. Feel free to jump in and ask any questions that might be pertaining to that. I know Ken likes to have a Q&A at least once a month, but we haven't really been able to do that. It's the holidays, and trying to get the schedule and everyone's schedule to line up correctly seems to always be a challenge. But hey, hopefully soon. Yeah, what do we got here? Okay, I almost had to call an electrician because I thought I had a bad circuit breaker because I heard some buzzing, but then it was just the breaker box store. Oh, yeah. Yeah, is that in your house? Is that in your house circuit breaker panel, Randy? I don't think I've ever had an issue. I don't think you can really hear it on a generator, but I know that the transformer for my smoke detectors, we have smoke detectors in our house, and they have battery backup as well as house power. And I always hear that buzzing every now and then. Nothing of major concern, but yeah, they do tend to vibrate a little bit from the eddy currents. So. Yeah, so in terms of extracurricular stuff, so my band, we played earlier this year. Now we don't play very often. I just think we play like maybe twice or three times a year, and usually it's a large get together. I think this last time we had it back in July, we had almost 150 people come to the show. It was actually at our guitar player's house, and we had the tent set up and everything like that. And it was hot, very, very hot. It was like in the middle of July. It was actually for the July 4th weekend. But yeah, it was really a lot of fun to just be able to play and have our friends there. And we wanted to start to get together. One of my singers, she is actually into theater, and she was doing a production locally here, so that was taking up a lot of her time. Our other singer, he's actually, I think he's up in Vermont, I want to say. So he's like 2.5 hours away. I'm here in Connecticut in the United States here. So it's a little bit of a challenge when we're kind of spread out. But I know like the drummer and I and my second guitar player, he's got a ton of gear that he's always, messing around with. He's actually in two bands. So I don't know, that's always a challenge from a time perspective. But yeah. Ah, hey Wally, how are you? Yeah, I don't know many trades. I just got a lot of different hobbies, I guess. I mean, between music and you know, well, obviously generators is one of my specialties I really enjoy doing. It's one of the few small engine machines that I actually enjoy working on, just because it's always a challenge. I've always liked electronics. Everything else is just kind of mundane, and you do it because you have to, kind of thing. But yeah, what are the new tools on the Christmas list this year? Hmm. Well, probably the number one, and I got to see how funds are, but I would really like to get a nice oscilloscope, one that has at least two or four probe capability, four channel, two or four channels, and and normally most of them come with the FFT function. So uh, James and I have chatted about this. He's got one of these pocket ones that can do basic functions with an oscilloscope, but it also doesn't have all the full features. I want to be able to use an FFT function, which basically shows you a frequency spectrum. And I know I'm getting a little technical here, but being able to look at the waveform of generators and also to measure total harmonic distortion. I've had quite a few emails since doing some of the lives with James and working with James on a few of his projects, where because I've gotten so involved with the electronics, I've gotten some of those questions, and it's kind of hard to answer them, just because when you start to get more technical on the technical terms, yeah, it just becomes a little bit harder to describe, unfortunately. But yeah, home brewing, yes, I was too good of a customer. Well, I have been drinking more of the local breweries, so I've been home brewing since for 14 years now. And I have, if you've looked at my channel, I have a 16 tap draft keezer down in my basement. My wife and I got this really nice setup with the 12-foot bar. We got she has a diner that we took parts from a pizza place local here in town. That's kind of a historic landmark at this point for the town, and they had remodeled, and then they changed names, changed hands, but we got some of the original booths down there. So, but with just with time and availability, it's a good. I don't drink that much anymore. I mean, I like having a beer every now and then, but I think the last beer that I brewed was the peanut butter porter with Reese's Pieces, and that's my wife's recipe. She actually wanted to do something different, and it's just sweet. It's sweet enough for you to know that it is a peanut butter porter, but then it's also bitter enough that it's a beer. So it's kind of like that nice balance, and that's probably one of our top movers as far as when everyone comes over, everyone's drinking it. We've done a New England IPA, which typical, traditional to the styles. I had, let's see, it was Mosaic and Cascade hops, so that's very typical of the style. But that's another very popular one here in the United States. The IPAs tend to be the more uh, popular type of style of beer that you would want to try, and what a lot of people drink, but it just burns your taste buds out. I've been kind of sticking more to either some light beers like a lager, or something that my wife and I are really into. We love the porters and stouts. We really like the dark beers, very malty, not very high IBUs. So fun stuff. Oh, really? Can't say I've ever tried that one actually. Um, there was one where some of my friends have asked if I was going to do a sour beer. Now, the thing with the sour beer is that the acetobacteria that you use for making that beer, that style of beer, you have to dedicate equipment just for those sours, because you can never sanitize or clean that bacteria out once it's in your equipment. And it's I've there's a lot. That's actually a style that's growing uh, very popular here around Connecticut. At least there's at least this a sour beer on tap and on every single local brewery that I've been able to find. But again, it's for a home brewer, it's kind of tough. But I do have the capacity to do it. It's just finding the time. What do we got here? What's Haney got here? Ah, we did do a honey wheat beer. We called it a Three Wise Man Ale. It did have dark honey, local from here in Connecticut, and obviously we did the wheat malt and everything, and it came out really good. I think alcohol content was about 6.7%. So that one didn't last very long for obvious reasons. It was actually really good. It was just a little bit of sweetness. The honey didn't completely ferment out, so what that was good. The next thing we have to do actually is for now that I'm thinking of it, we do have a Beaujolais wine kit that we need to make. My wife and I, since we got married, we were actually doing more wine fermenting and winemaking more so than beer. And I started beer making with my friends back in college, and the 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 hobby just kind of that kind of just grew from there, and I got a full setup downstairs. But the wine, yeah, we got to make that Bruges. We made that once already, but the blend of grape, that is just we really like that style. But it takes a couple months, at least 6 months, for it to actually be ready to bottle. Takes about maybe a month to ferment, and then I do the 3-2-1 method. So 3 months in a carboy or a glass jar, basically. 3 months, then you rack it over, wait another 2 months, then rack it over again, and then another month, rack it over to get rid of any of the lees or the sediment that goes to the bottom. And then you can get ready to bottle. It'll be nice and clear. And even then, it's still going to be a little rough, it's very tart to the tongue. And it takes time. Like most wines don't really start to taste like decent wine until about the year and a half, 2 year mark. And at that point, then we can really, enjoy it. Right now, I think we have maybe 2 bottles left of that, and that was from like over 2.5 years ago. So I better, or I better get going on that wine kit. We were just talking about it actually. Trying to think, is there any other tools? I would like some T-handle Allen keys, Allen wrenches. Those come in handy. I do have the Torx, and the Torx ones have come in real handy, especially on a lot of the smaller machines. To get access to like some of the screws, it's just really handy to have that tool around. As far as just the actual uh, getting it into those small spaces. So just using a regular Torx, like kind of looks like a bent Allen key. Yeah, not fun. Yeah, feel free to join, guys. That's the link in the beginning there. And like I said, I figured I'd just jump on and say hello to everyone. Probably would only be on it for about 30 minutes or an hour to see how long it would go. If there's anyone else that wanted to come and say hi or any questions on generators, I think I've been working on another video on converting generators over to propane. Now, there's quite a few forums that I found. So I'm originally on Smokestack, so that was probably back in the early 2010s. And then we have another one here, if I'm not mistaken. I have to pull it up on my phone. There's a guy out in Michigan. His name is Chris. He is on Gentech Power. Gentech Power is actually based out there in the Midwest, and um, they he's actually sent me a couple guys for repairing some of their generator boards as well. I'm actually working on a thread right now on a 17,500 watt Generac Ultra Source, which is the largest portable generator. I wouldn't even say it's portable; it's quite heavy. It's like 600 pounds, even with an empty gas tank there. But you know, I got a little bit of. It's not as popular of a forum, but I still see a lot of people going on there. But has there anyone else been doing is there any other forums that I'm missing? I think I got them all as far as the discussions on portable generators and whatnot, but I don't know if I'm missing anything else. What are the tools to pull the carb stud out? Vice grips. Typically, they're in there pretty good. I think there's even Loctite on them, red Loctite on them, but only if I've never really had to do that, except on maybe one snowblower because I couldn't get the carburetor off to save my life because of where the handlebars were, and I had to take apart that one outer stud just to get the carburetor off. That's how difficult it was to get the double nut trick. Um, the that worked out really well. I just vice grip it on the where there's no threads. You're not going to see it because the carburetor is covering it. But the double nut trick does work as well. Trying to see if there's any other I haven't come across. Checking on that here real quick. Yeah, I don't see any other forum, and I could be missing them, but oh, so other hobbies. Something that I haven't really been posting on the channel much, and I'm not sure if I would even get a lot of fanfare for it. Anyone into grilling? Grilling at all? Weber grills, smoking meat, anything like that? Um, that's another hobby of mine. I've been restoring Weber grills. I have an old Weber grill, which Genesis 1000. It's from the early 90s, and I got that from my parents. And it's still working to this day, although I did put in some stainless steel components. And a quick funny story. So I wanted a smoker. I wanted to spend the money on a nice electric smoker. We're not going to, my wife and I, it's usually just her and I and the dog. So we don't really need to cook a lot of meat unless we're having some people over. And she's like, no, we can't afford it right now. But the next thing I know, she finds two junk Weber grills on the side of the road. And I wound up rebuilding both of them just because, hey, if I wasn't going to convert one to use as a smoker, that's what I wound up doing. But that's another hobby that I do. I don't think I haven't really seen a lot of interest on YouTube for that, other than just some how tos on how to repair them. But let's see here. We got some more inverse torque number 5. Okay. Um, I will say that I'm not too familiar with that. Are you talking inverse? I mean, like, is it a different thread? I guess I'm missing something there. I'm sorry. A retired pitmaster. Really? Do tell. How long of a cook have you gotten into? Right now, my friend Dave and we've done, I think it was like an 11 or a 12 hour for a brisket. And he came here at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and we were just kind of taking turns, obviously having some of this at the same time. But it was quite a commitment. We haven't done one of those cooks in a very long time. I'm kind of, it's a patient man's hobby for sure. You got to you kind of have to go and babysit it. That's why I was looking into getting a smoker because like the Traegers, for example, or the eggs, for example. But I really was kind of more leaning towards a Traeger. The best thing is that you can program it, you can have it on your phone, and you can just set it and forget it, and it'll auto feed the wood pellets in there for you without having to refill the chips. So, but okay, yeah. So the torque socket, yeah. I that's you know that's another tool that I would mind having is a bunch of torque sockets that were to a 3/8 drive. That would come in handy because some of those bolts I found that they're really really on their tight, not because they have the Loctite on it, but just because they're corroded. Ah, Yoder. Okay. Yeah. So I'm still I would say I'm more of a advanced amateur, if you will, when it comes to smoking. I mean, I really since I don't have a true smoker, I just use the smoker box that goes into the Weber grill and just feed the wood chips in there. It's not like an advanced pellet feeding hopper system. Although I always see that on my work has we use Slack, and there's actually a smokers group that we're always exchanging recipes or sharing recipes, and it's a lot of fun. But some of those guys are incredibly detailed and experienced with doing that type of those types of cooks that I'm just not I'm not too familiar with. I'd love to be a part of it though. Actually, the last time I did a cook, I don't know well you can see it, but just did some kielbasa and I had some tenderloin steaks and cooked it very slow. I think like 225, 250. It was a little bit you can't really get a Weber grill down that low. And actually one turned out pretty good. So nice and tender. And just some extra olive oil, salt and pepper, that kind of just very simplistic. You don't want to let too much. I do like my A1 sauce, but I try not to go too heavy on the sauce just because it just takes away from the flavor of the meat. So uh I think yeah. So that's cool, Mike, that you're a retired pitmaster, but I don't think you would ever retire from that much. I would think that you'd still do it more on a smaller scale for yourself or for your family, I would imagine. Did I miss any comments here? I don't think I did. Cool. Let's see here. Used to cater barbecue for special events, brisket. Ooh, wow. Okay, so you were in the catering business. That's a challenge to say the least. Wow. So you well, hey, that takes a lot of talent to be able to cook for a lot of people all at once. So I can imagine just being how big of a grill did you have? Did you have like one of those big 55-gallon barrels or a couple of them strained together with the tops? And then you can cook an entire pig. I've gone to a pig roast in the summer. That's actually a lot of fun. Pork is not my number one meat that I would normally have. I'm usually more of a tenderloin or a beef kind of guy. Chicken, it has to be seasoned quite a bit, but pork, I like it, but it's not my number one. But everyone's from different walks of life. That's pretty awesome. Who is that? Somebody just texted me. Are they coming? Huh. It's weird how YouTube does this. It says, "Hey, you're going live. You have, come and check it out." I'm like, "Why are you sending an email to me? I'm the one that's going on the live here. Figured go and put it out to everyone else that would be interested in saying hi." It's weird. Ugh. Trying to think what else has been happening. I have really just been living under a rock since just trying to keep my head down. The holidays are tough. The holidays are it's one thing after another. You're always constantly uh trying to get things done so you have some time for yourself and for the family and everything like that. So, but yeah, it's always something to get the next event done and then you can relax for a little bit. And I do apologize. I'm probably looking a little red at the moment. I actually got my COVID booster the other day with my wife, so I'm having some mild symptoms. Not too bad though. My arm is still kind of sore, but nothing a little Tylenol or ibuprofen can't fix. But my wife and I we were sick with COVID back in October, and it knocked us on when we were fully vaccinated and boosted too, and we were both sick with the COVID variant. I think it's the Omicron, BA4, BA5, the one that we just got a booster for. And we were sick for a full 2 weeks. Uh, Moderate to severe symptoms, very just not fun. So I might be running a little low grade fever. I feel it, but what are you going to do? Figure just hang out and work on through it. Smoker trailer was built by Stump Smoker in Macomb, Georgia. Very nice. Yeah. So another thing I like besides the home brewing, I used to go to a lot of the homebrew festivals or just the big brew festivals. There's one over in Willimantic, Connecticut that we call the Willie Brew, and there's Willimantic Brewing that hosts it, and it's over in Maine. Um, there's a courtyard that they set up all the big tents for, and that's probably the biggest one that my friends and I will go to. It's probably the only one that we really go to because every other one is pretty small and and it's not really the best variety. But yeah, that is really cool though with the smoking trailer. Do you still have it? Do you still do like little parties on your, if you like a big July 4th get together or anything like that, Mike? E-bikes. Hmm. No, I haven't come across it. Can't say I'm too familiar with it. I haven't owned a bike in well over 15 years. Although every now and then I think about getting back into it, but just don't seem to have a lot of time. Ah, Kenny. Hey, how you doing, bud? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Let's see here. Oh, there you go. Everyone's saying hellos, hello, hello, hellos all around. And then sold the business last year. Ah, that's a shame. Well, you could take the they could take the pitmaster out of the business, but you can't take the pitmaster out of the trade and just enjoying. I'm sure you must have enjoyed that, even though the business side must have still been a challenge to have to manage all the time. You know, it's you always look for the people that are really passionate about what they do, even if they are not in the business anymore. They get to still do the part that they really love and enjoy the most. So yeah, Kenny, how much snow are you? You're a little bit further south to me, so it was bouncing around for a little while. They were saying, just for the people that don't know, Kenny and I were about 40 minutes apart. Same thing, James and I were about 40 minutes apart. We're like equidistant, but we're getting maybe anywhere from 3 to 5 inches at the most. It's not really a big storm, but it's the first impactful just because of the timing. And it's kind of late, in my opinion. I think that back when I was a kid, we used to get storms like right before Thanksgiving of decent size, and now snow doesn't usually start coming around until maybe Christmas, and then January it just gets bitter cold, and you really don't see a lot of snow. You get one or two big storms, and then that's it. And that's how it's been for the last couple of years. Uh, I know a lot of people over in the Midwest, for example. You guys get hammered with snow, tons of it. Nice. Nice. About an inch, yeah. There you go. Yeah, it's about yeah. It's finally starting to stick to the roads now. When I came before I came up here about a half hour ago, it was already starting to stick to the roads, Kenny. Uh-oh. You got a sick is that your truck? Your truck there? That's not good. Yeah, my wife so she has two Subarus and I have a Honda, but it's not the best in the snow for obvious reasons, but with a good set of snow tires it manages through, but I've never driven a Subaru that hasn't been able to get through the snow even with regular all seasons. We had gotten some dedicated snow tires and it's like what snow? Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're up a little bit further north of me up in Mass, but I'm over here in the Litchfield Hills of Connecticut. So we're pretty far north of, and we usually wind up, yeah, our county gets the most snow out of the entire state of Connecticut. And a lot of, the state of Connecticut is small. It's not as big as people make it out to be. I think it's only like 90 some odd miles across from west to east. So snow wise, yeah. The plow just came by. I haven't heard the plow come by yet. I'll have to check my cameras outside. And I live on a dead end street, so we're usually one of the last places to get plowed out. So truck linkage. Oh boy. Yeah, funny. I had five snowblowers as up till last week. I finally started bringing them back, and I ran into this 1996 Aaron's 22-inch wide single stage. Now, this guy, he's taken immaculate care of this thing, and he just wanted me to do the tune-up and change out the belt because the belt was worn out. Turns out he had the wrong belt on there. It was a little too long, and he couldn't adjust the idler pulley anymore. But I struck out twice, and this doesn't happen very often. So for the guys in the small engine world, uh, I figured out the part number. So the part number changes based on the model number and the serial. I got the right part number through Stens, and I tried the Stens belt. It didn't work. It was actually it's the right length, the same length, but the groove was too thick. It was too wide, and it was causing it to hop higher in the pulleys. So it was actually really tight in the system, and I couldn't get it to get loose enough to where it disengages, and it just was burning the belt. So I said, okay, I'll go and well, I didn't want to have to spend $34 for a new belt, be trying to save the guy a buck or two. I then tried the rotary, which my local place has. They usually stock rotary. I get that belt. It's the opposite problem. It's the right length, but it's too thin, and it sank too far into the pulley. Couldn't adjust it to be tight enough to be able to engage. So bring those two back. Finally, I just said, just order me the Aaron's branded belt. Took about a week and a half, which wasn't too bad. Was helpful for, but it wound up being that was the right way to fix it. It was just to use the OEM belt. But just the mention of snow. Yeah, well, I have a friend down in Pelzer, South Carolina. He's like 4 hours inland. You know, it, when you live in the Northeast, if you one of the prerequisites you need to have is you need to have a snowblower, obviously a shovel, but um, we're used to driving in the snow all the time here. Oh, what do we got here? Ken.
Yeah, it figures. I've had my first four-wheel drive now for 2.5 years, and the first snow of the season, I don't have four-wheel drive.
Oh
But
no.
it's just a linkage, a U-shaped linkage that goes from the shifter to the transfer
Oh,
case.
no kidding.
And it's known to fall off on these Dodges. It's a known issue. And I found out about it on Thanksgiving morning. I
Yeah.
go into my truck and I go to hit the lever just for the hell of it. It's like this. I go, what the hell? So I look
Oh,
underneath.
okay, got you. You have the
I
to switch the transfer case.
Yeah, I have the linkage. I was going to do it today, and it's like, you know what? We're not really going to get anything. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, it's
We'll
we. It's funny because I used to have a truck, a little Chevy S10, and it had the four-wheel drive, the shifter, the manual on the floor there, but it just wasn't heavy enough. You could throw a couple sandbags or cement bags in the back there to give you a little bit more traction, but
Yeah. I
it
got a
just
heavy 3/4. I'll be fine because I have BF Goodrich TA radials, the big ones. So I mean, I'll be
yeah,
fine. And I have posi traction, so it shouldn't be too bad. But it does get slippery,
yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I think it looks like we'll get maybe a couple inches,
That's about it.
But they already got the trucks out. The trucks are sanding the shit out of the roads.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I mean, I don't really hear it up here where I am. It's
Mhm.
like I am on the dead end street, so we're usually one of the last, but we're on top of a hill, right
Yeah.
overlooking Waterbury, and I'll hear the plows go down the hill, but
Mhm.
the town won't come up here until the last minute. So
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is.
Mhm.
There's kids that run around with snowmobiles once in a while, and then
Oh, yeah.
hey, we don't have any streetlights around here, so I guess it's a nice winter wonderland. You can see this is the
Yeah.
kind of snow that looks pretty at night, and
Mhm.
you have everyone with the
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
lights on.
Oh, nice big flakes. Yeah.
Big flakes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is what we need Christmas Eve. That's about it. Yeah.
That would be nice. Yeah, we're doing. I don't know how it is for most families, but I know that we have a pretty extended family, so we're doing. There's a Christmas Eve, there's a Christmas Day, but this year we've had to kind of expand it out. Now we're doing a Christmas Eve because
Oh,
we're just trying to fit everything in. A little bit of the family goes over here, a little family goes over to the other. It's
sure.
trying to spread it out here, or spread the cheer, as they
Oh,
say.
yeah. It's sort of like Friendsgiving.
Or they call it for you guys and or anyone that's watching that's over in Connecticut. If you're in the Naugatuck Valley, they call it Valley New Year if it's the
Oh,
day
no
before
kidding.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, I know that.
Yeah, Valley New Year. That's just every time. That's where I'm originally from. I'm originally from Shelton, Connecticut, but I feel like every time I go back there to visit, I feel like my IQ drops a few points going down there. But
Oh, yeah, those salt trucks. I tell you, I fluid film the hell out of my truck, so hopefully it doesn't get rusty. But my wife's got an all-wheel drive. Oh, you broke. Oh, I lost you, Gary. Oh, is it my Wi-Fi or is it Gary's? Might be mine. I'm still here. I just see Gary's black. So, yep, there he is. You're
there you
back.
go.
All right.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi decided to kick out here. So that's another thing here is we have Optimum for internet, and it's just
Mhm.
god awful. But GoNet
Is it
speed,
fiber though, or is it cable? What is it?
they're working on the fiber now. They've been in town for weeks now, running the new wire through, and
Yeah.
all the crew's been on the side of the road. So it's been a bit of a pain in the ass. But once once they get it through, they have to run the wire down to our side of the road. Right now they're going up and down the road, but all of our utility is underground. So
Mm,
they have to run it through that way. I think we're one of the last ones to do it because it's underground. But yeah,
mhm.
it'd be nice to have it right now. Optimum's the only option we have around here.
Yeah.
Frontier is just it's even worse. I don't even really consider them just because
Yeah.
that they're every single one of their customer service stinks. But
Yeah,
uh,
I have Spectrum right now, but it's
yep,
only cable.
yeah,
Frontier has the fiber, but I haven't talked to anyone who says it's decent yet, so I don't know.
no, it's Sue and I are waiting a little bit for once everything they run a special or something like that because they usually want you to commit for a year or two
Oh yeah.
years.
Yep.
You know, we don't spend. I think we spend somewhere like $70 just for internet. We cut the cord, so to speak, with
Mhm.
cable. We haven't had cable in a couple years, but because everything's on the Amazon Fire Stick now,
Yeah.
that's all we
Well,
really
I
need.
changed to streaming with Spectrum, traded in
Yeah.
all the boxes. I was paying
Yep.
$34 about a month for boxes, traded in all the boxes for 129 a month. I
Hmm.
get,
That's
unlimited,
expensive.
internet, the high speed internet, whatever it is, high speed,
Hmm.
and um, the cable streaming for 700 channels or whatever the hell it is. And what they didn't tell me was $129 before taxes.
Ugh.
With
Oh
taxes,
man, the
185.
taxes and fees.
185. 185. But I was paying 240 before that.
Yeah.
So
Now
it did save me a little bit of money.
Now, do you have, the sports package at all? Because they still charge you for some of the basic sports
It
packages even
it
if you don't
comes
use
with
it.
all that. I mean, I looked at it the other day and I've got NFL and all that crap. I mean, I watch it once in a while,
Once in a
but
while,
when I look at
exactly.
my bill, it's not broken out. It's this whole monthly plan for 129 where you get 700 channels and all this other crap, and it's like
Ugh.
whatever. But what was cool about it,
Why?
I got a lot of DIY and like car stuff that I didn't have before, which I like. I
Yeah.
like the DIY shit. So I said, okay, you know.
Hey, Tommy, how are you?
Oh man, so just waiting for my wife and my son to get home. They're down the mother-in-law's in Bridgeport, the North End, so they
Yeah.
should be home shortly. Hopefully, they'll bring dinner.
Yeah, my wife and I, we were debating, okay, so we usually have on Saturdays, we'll usually make our own homemade pizza,
Mm.
and then we'll do our pizza and wine night, and it started when when Game of Thrones was out, the original one,
Oh yeah. Mm.
not the prequel, and it kinda just stuck there, so that's kind of our date night, so we're gonna do a picnic on the
Mm.
living room floor, decorate the tree, hang out with the pups, so
Did you watch the new one yet? The dragon one?
we did, and, you know,
Yeah,
eh, it's just not wasn't
yeah,
my it's not as good. You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they they really need Tyrion back on there as a
Mhm,
character. He was one of my favorites,
mhm.
if not my ultimate favorite. I'm waiting for the Jon Snow sequel to come out or the spin-off, so
Yeah.
to speak. That should be interesting.
Mhm. Oh, they'll spin off every character they can on that
Oh,
thing.
they can, and if as long as Kit is interested in doing it, they'll here's a dump truck load of money.
Mhm. You know what I've been watching though, pretty cool. Pennyworth.
Can't say I've tried. Have to check that out. Have you been? We've been.
Batman's butler Alfred. It's
Yeah.
him as a kid growing up.
Oh,
Really, really good show. Really
interesting.
good.
We've been watching. Well, Yellowstone is our big thing right now.
Is that Costner?
Yeah, Kevin Costner.
I
Yeah.
never watched it. How is it?
You got to watch it.
Oh, yeah?
You got to watch
Well,
it.
they got a lot of seasons. How many seasons already?
I think they're in season 5 now.
Okay, it's
Season 5.
definitely good.
It's definitely good. You'd have to binge it. So Sue and I, we binge watched the first 2 seasons, and we're like, we're hooked.
Oh, really?
And then we went and we got the Paramount Plus streaming thing for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just it's
Is
interesting.
that Cowboys Indians? What is
Cowboys Indians? Yeah, it's kind of the modern day America. It's one of the top shows on the TV right now.
Really? I hear a lot about it. Yeah.
Yeah. The other one, and Taylor Sheridan is the one that produced and wrote it. But Taylor also made. It actually has Jeremy Renner, the mayor of Kingstown. It's basically he's like a fix-it guy, or he does favors for the different prison gangs. And he's also
Renner. Renner's good. Yeah,
Renner's good. I didn't realize how old he actually was.
He played the Archer, right? He was.
He played Hawkeye in the Avengers, but I didn't realize he was over 50. He looks good for his age.
Yeah.
Huh. No, Mike. I'm not gonna. I promise, I'm not gonna spoil anything. But no, seriously, those are the 2 that Sue and I've been binge watching a lot recently. So, and there's Disney Plus too. It's like.
How about Wednesday? How about the Addams Family Wednesday?
Sue wants to watch it.
Oh, love that. Good. You got to watch it. I binged it 3 weekends.
Really?
Yeah.
It was that good? What'd you think?
It was good.
All right. I'll have to check.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I like the Addams Family anyway, though. So.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Addams Family. I mean, I was talking before you jumped on. One of the many hobbies that I just have. I feel like I can only focus on 1 or 2 of them at a time. But another thing I'm into is pinball, and the Addams Family pinball machine. Yeah. I remember growing up as a kid to play that.
So you're into the digital pinball. I'm into the bumpers and the rubber bands.
No, I'm into that too. Early 80s electromechanical.
I'm talking late 60s, early 70s are mine.
Oh, that's true. Electromechanical, all analog.
My favorite, Gottlieb Home Run. If I could find one, my favorite pinball machine. I used to play that in Woolworth's department store in the Trumbull Mall. The minute that pinball came out in February of 70, I played it out. I mean, that was my favorite.
You're taking me back to when I was a wee lad. Woolworths. There was one over in Seymour, Connecticut before they closed.
That was my first job. I was a dishwasher upstairs in the kitchen.
Oh, really?
Woolworths had a little kitchenette there, a food counter, and a little restaurant area up there in the Trumbull Mall. Yep.
Oh man, the original Trumbull Mall. Right now, it's a big Y.
No, Trumbull Mall. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the Ansonia Mall.
Trumbull is still now it's Westfield, but it's
huge. Yeah. Well, because Trumbull now has the aquarium over there.
What do you mean? No, Trumbull?
Yeah.
What aquarium?
There's there's a sea aquarium there. There's like yeah.
I invented a mall. My mother lives in the mall. I mean, her house is in the parking lot. So.
Oh, no kidding! Wow.
Yeah. They built the mall. Westfield, when they did the revision, screwed my mom and made her street into a dead end, and now she's like in the parking lot.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
So
yeah, I mean, when my nephew was up here from Texas, we took him to the aquarium over there. You get to see all the different fish. They have big turtles, the birds, and some of these fish are so crazy big. Like you throw a little bit of food over there, and then they splash you, and you freak out because. Oh man, no, it was actually pretty cool. But that we didn't walk around the Trumbull Mall. I mean, who goes to a mall these days? I mean,
I know. Oh, that's what they call it, Sequest, I guess.
Sequest, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I put it this way: I haven't been in that mall literally in 5 years.
Yeah, no, a lot.
I grew up there when it was only 4 stores.
Red Grill, Woolworths. Yeah.
No, all they had Woolworths. On the left was EJ Corvettes, was a department store, and it was a food. They had EJ Corvettes was a food store and a department store. Then you had a Denby's Tobacco Barrel, Spencer Gifts, Woolworths, DM Reed's was there, and around the back you had Super X Drug and Bagel King. That was it. That was the whole mall. And then you had in the upper left, which is now I think a health club, that used to be the UA Theater, and it was only one theater. And then back in 1982 or 83, they split into 3 theaters. I'm like, wait a minute, you're used to looking at a screen that's 100 feet wide. Now you can have 3 screens. It was really weird.
Probably go,
But
and that's another dying industry. Who goes to a movie theater?
I haven't been to a movie theater. This is no bullshit since 1993.
Really?
Last time I was in a movie theater was 93.
I think the last time we were trying to think, the last movie that Sue and I went to.
I think it was Terminator 2 was the last one I went to.
I went the last time I haven't seen since the first John Wick. We went to go see John Wick, and that came out a couple of years back. We haven't been to one since.
I've never been to one of these modern ones where it's like in a living room, like you're in comfortable chairs.
No, and those are great. I mean, I think we saw John. I forget when did the first John Wick come out?
Probably 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah, so that's probably the last time I've been in. We've been in one since then because it just. Why bother? I mean, it's just you could just wait for the.
Well, although though they say though, like Star Wars and stuff, you really do need to be with the surround sound and all that.
Yeah, you get we have the 3D glasses and everything. So
we had a big one down the street from it. When the theater opened in Quarry Road in Trumbull, huge like Cineplex. Then they had bed bugs.
Oh,
and that was ever since my kids went one day. And they heard the rumor about the bed bugs, and I don't think they've been to a theater since then either.
Ugh. Yeah. Bed bugs not fun at all.
Yeah.
Mall Cop with my then 5 years old.
Paul Blart. Yeah, Paul Blart. Mall Cop.
Yeah, I mean it's like with the way we have our living room set up, we have the nice big 50-inch. I have a plasma. I still have a plasma TV, and I take really good care of it.
Do they even make plasmas anymore?
No, they stopped making them a long time ago. It's just they're not energy efficient, but the picture is just so good. Because I run the white bar, it cleans everything. You don't want because they're the most prone to screen burn. If you keep a still static image, it'll burn that in because it's a gas and anything. It weighs about 80 pounds. The thing is heavy. But nowadays, you get the OLED TVs that are like super thin. They use a fraction of the power, and you can get just as clear and dark and rich of a picture because they can actually shut off the individual LEDs, so you get those nice deep inky blacks like you would a plasma. But plasma is at full power. That thing takes 600 watts.
Wow.
But I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I just every now and then there's 2 fans on the back that I have to go and blast out the air. For the dust, but other than that, it's worked.
Hey, Wayne, are you watching fighting, Wayne, or are you gonna come up on panel?
Yeah, send out.
I know he's into that ultimate fighting stuff, so whenever that's on TV, you can't bother him.
UFC.
Yeah, him and his son are into that.
I'm sorry, my friend Chris is into that, and I just can't. I don't understand what the whole allurement is of 2 guys dry humping each other.
One of the guys I work with, his son, who works with us as well, is an ultimate fighter, but he's only like 5'1", but there's like no fat on the guy. He's all just muscle. Yeah. Bacon and some home fry. Ooh,
there's Wayne. Hold on.
Wow.
Here I am.
Hey Wayne, you're on.
That sounds good, Wayne. I may make some ham and eggs for.
I made chocolate chip pancakes this morning for my wife, and then the bacon, eggs, home fries, toast,
coffee, and then she made peach tarts. This afternoon for a snack tonight.
See, now my wife she'll bake brownies, but she's not much of a baker. Her mother's more of a baker. And the only time I really get to have a full on dessert is when I go over to my in-laws' house. We go over there once a week for dinner, and she'll have anything from like pies to something topped in whipped cream that I usually just.
Yeah. My son went to school for baking and pastry for 2 years, so
it really is an art. Baking is really an art because now you have to follow the ingredients and instructions exactly.
Hold on, Mrs. Potty Mouth is at the door. The door's unlocked.
My wife Lori, she cooks and bakes steady.
Oh yeah,
and spends the day crocheting.
Very nice.
Toques, gloves, blankets for local charities for kids and adults.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean,
I think this year she had about 4 big containers we just shipped out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what she does. All she's retired now, so it gives her peace of mind.
Yeah. No,
She wants to do it.
Yeah, my late grandmother did crocheting all the time. She had like a little crocheting group that she would have, and we actually have one of my wife's friends.
We gotta go move the vehicles. I'll be back.
Sounds good. I'll just mute him here so there's in case there's things going on here. Yeah, so she had a crochet group, but one of my wife's friends, they actually made this quilt that we have hung up in our bedroom that has our dog Mystic, our German Shepherd, and she put she did all the pictures, printed the picture on these fabric squares, and she sewed them in, and it's beautiful. But it's takes a lot of time to put one of those together.
Yeah, longer than putting a snowblower together.
Yeah. How many? I think I was up to 5 snowblowers up until last week. Started bringing them all back. I have 2. No, I got 1 more to work on. Actually, it's already done. The guy, and I don't know what he did. The shift forks that moves the friction discs back and forth. Yeah. I don't know. It must have not been put in correctly, because not only did I have to replace the friction disc, but the 2 forks that move it back and forth, one was completely bent to shit. And I just don't know how that could have happened, other than they just didn't put in the washers correctly. There's like this little guide. There's a guide that's supposed to go on the top of it.
Or they took it apart and they bent it to get it out or something.
Exactly. So
to get it out or get it back in.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. So I wound up having, thankfully I was able to bend it back in place and fix it, but I had to take the whole transmission apart just to do that correctly. And I said to the guy, and so I just finished working on it's like over 30 years old. It's a mule. It's one of those dump cart mules, 4x4s. It's on a farm, and he just needed an ultrasonic clean, but he also dropped off his snowblower. But the guy that dropped it off is one of his hands. His name is Chris, and he dropped it off. He's like, I don't know why this guy, he's letting you and making you fix his snowblower. I just do the plowing for him. I think he only wanted to get this fixed so he can come outside for a bit. But we got it taken care of. It's just, I was saying at the top of the stream here that normally I use Stens or rotary, and I've gotten lucky. The aftermarket parts are a little bit cheaper, and put them in, and they work great. But it seems like as the machines get older, like I was working on a 1996 single stage, I tried the Stens, and they're all the Stens they're all the same length, and that's what I couldn't figure out until I actually took them side by side. The V groove was too wide; it was actually sitting too high on the pulley, and then the other one was too steep, or too narrow, I should say, and it was dropped too far in, and it wasn't getting enough tension. Wasn't until I just got the original OEM belt, and everything was fine. Not often that happens to me.
Yeah, because where are you located?
I'm in Connecticut. I'm not 40 minutes north of Kenny.
Yeah, so you get your parts at Stens through Arrowhead in the States?
No, there's a place over in Waterbury. I usually go to Schmitz.
Okay.
But where are you based out of?
We're in Port Colborne, Ontario, in Canada.
In Canada. Gotcha.
We've got a Stens dealership in Brantford, Ontario.
I've been over there. So Brantford?
Brantford, yeah.
Bradford. Okay, gotcha.
Brant, B-R-A-N-T.
Yeah, Bradford. Yep. Yeah, I've been up to Bromella, Brampton area.
Massey Ferguson plant used to be years and years ago.
Nice.
And I actually did a lot of the Massey Ferguson forgings for the tractor pedals and everything when I first started in the forging business. But they ship, as long as I'm ordering $150 worth of Canadian parts, I get free shipping because we set up an account with them.
Nice.
And then you actually get 10% discount if you order $10,000 worth of material a year. I think for 20, you pick up another 5%. So it's pretty good. We've been ordering parts from them now this is our 9th year.
Wow. That's great.
So it does good for business just to be able to get our hands on the parts. And we've never had an issue with Sten's part other than, like you say, you type in the part number and a certain belt will come up, and it may be a full-size half-inch belt or a 5/8 belt. where in fact the OEM is actually what you would call a 3/4 depth belt. It's not the full depth.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I know
So-
exactly what you mean. I think that's
So
exactly what I ran
you
into.
were saying. The belt you put on went too far down into the pulley.
Yep.
The other one sits up higher.
Yep.
But they do, if you tension them up too much, they do wear themselves in, and then they're too long.
Exactly.
I don't
And
know
that's
how, and I just replaced that belt I'm talking about. It's a 5/8, and I think it's a 408077 belt is the original number, and then they give you the Husqvarna number at the beginning.
Oh.
It becomes a 532 40877 or something. And I think we just did 36 snow blowers.
wow.
And I think out of those 36, that auger belt was on 7 or 8 of them.
Wow. Seems to be a pretty common one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have an Aaron's 30-inch wide platinum, so it's got the hated hand grips. I got that back in 2011, and it's the one where they move the axle a little too far forward, so it's very well balanced, but it's
Right.
got no weight to dig down. So I had to wind up buying the lead weight that go into the bucket so it would weigh it down. But that only, I think it was right at the 10-year mark that I went and changed all the belts, and it's got the double belt for the auger, and I wound up changing the impeller bearing too, because that definitely needed it. But man, that machine will eat through anything. It comes with the Briggs and Stratton for, I think it has the 342 on it, CC
Yes.
engine. Then the
Yeah.
biggest one they make is 410. But
Yeah, Jake tried to order the 28 Aaron's professional model,
yeah,
but they're totally out of stock, and they're
Out of
not
stock.
going to be in until the second week of January. And I think they run. I think Jake said they're around 32 to 3,300 Canadian plus tax.
oh, okay. No, that's
Plus tax 13% on top of that.
yeah with the.
But if
Well,
you
you have the
buy,
GS, you have the GST, right, or HST up
it
in,
used to be GST, but they changed it,
separated it
to
out.
harmonized.
Yep,
Sales
harmonized
tax.
tips, sales
They
tax.
blended two together, the 6 and the 7, and
Yep.
nailed this for 13%.
Yeah. So my day job, Wayne, I'm actually a supply chain analyst, a logistics analyst for the restaurant industry. But before then, I would be working with I work with a 3PL company for shipping and whatnot, and we had to learn and actually program in which province had the HST and the GST
Right.
and the PST, and it because every time the tax had to be uh, calculated, it had to be changed and updated on a pretty much a daily basis to make sure that everything was correct. Otherwise, you'd be undercharging. You're still on the hook for for the manufacturer that was selling it up into Canada. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's interesting. When it comes to international shipping, it's a nightmare, especially in the last couple of years.
And costly.
Very costly. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the spot quote rates for, I know this is my day job, guys. This is it's always going to be a part of my psyche. But so my company makes the point of sale hardwares. The printers, monitors, cables, the actual software to manage a restaurant, whether you're taking a credit card or whether you're running the back of the restaurant. But all these components are sourced overseas. So we were moving these in by 40-foot ocean containers, and it was costing crazy amounts of money and not even getting space on the ship, the steamship coming across the ocean for it, because it would take anywhere from 45 days once it was on the water. But then with all the terminals being backed up at the ports, you couldn't get them offloaded quick enough, so they wind up sitting outside international waters until they were ready to take it in. So we were air freighting a lot of stuff for the longest time. Basically everyone was. That's just to keep their inventories in a semi decent state to keep sales going. And it recently, I think it was like 22 or 24 months, it's taken to basically clear up the backlog of all the ports. So now you're going to probably see a little less air freight, but then going back to ocean type of shipments here. Aaron's, I think, is over in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, Brillion, Wisconsin.
Yep. So they're probably going just across the border if it's going into Ontario.
Yeah, not too many Aaron's dealers around here. The one that was in Niagara Falls, I guess, just closed down.
Oh, wow.
So they likely, like nowadays around here, there's a lot of the small engine repair businesses that are run by families. Kids don't want to take them over, or they can't afford to purchase them off the parents, so they end up selling all their stock and closing down.
Yeah. You guys, do you follow Donnie Boy?
Yeah.
He's another Canadian
Actually,
YouTuber.
actually Donnie Boy 73 is, according to my son, that's basically one of the reasons he got into doing his channel.
Yeah, no, he's I like Donnie. Yeah, you guys ever talk to him at all? Has he ever been on a live stream?
We called him up and Jake spent about an hour and a half with him on the phone one time.
Wow.
And we're talking a long time ago, where they were just talking on how you shoot videos, your audio, your angles that you take shots at.
Sure.
You know, Donnie Boy was, and then it was when I think we had to file papers with the U.S. government or YouTube about the taxes that were tax exempt.
Yep.
Because we're a Canadian company working like on the videos with the states. So
yep.
The YouTube revenue goes to the company.
That changed recently, yeah.
Yeah, that goes right directly to our company, and then they take Canadian tax only on the company.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, taxes, death taxes, and general rate increases are usually the only three things guaranteed to life.
Yeah, the shipping from the States, like Kenny worked on trying to get us a dry idler spring for a John Deere snowblower.
Yep.
Over here in Canada, we had to order 5.
And for the minimum order quantity. Yep.
They were $20 a piece, but I had to order 5 to get them. So ended up that a company in Buffalo, Jake was talking to them, and they shipped it over to us. But by the time we got it,
yep.
Cost in the States, I think, was $349 US for that spring.
Wow.
And by the time we got it, paid duty and shipping, it cost our customer, I think it was $35 or $39.
Oof.
For a little tiny spring.
Oof.
But he's got his machine and it cleaned out the last snowfall. So
yeah, no. How much snow are you guys getting up there now?
We didn't get hit like Buffalo got.
Buffalo got.
Buffalo got like 5 to 7 feet in areas.
Yeah.
We had some drifts that were 3 or 4 feet in areas, but likely a couple of feet of snow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
and it's all gone now, and today it's raining.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
not seeing that kind of snow. I mean, lake effect snow, they're used to it. My boss is he lives up there in the Utica area, and he's out in the sticks, so he has this big John Deere tractor. No, he had a Kubota tractor, and that's how he clears out his driveway. And he's like, yeah, some of this snow recently was pretty bad. I mean, just north of him, if you went like 50 miles north, the lake effect snow was so bad that I've seen the pictures. It's just, I've never seen that much snow in one shot. We've gotten the record here for Connecticut anyway. I think, Kenny, was it 2013 where we had, or was it 20? No, it was not 2011. It was 2013. Nemo.
We got 4 feet.
We got 4 feet. We had 40 inches of snow in Hamden, Connecticut. That is the absolute record within 48 hours, less than 48 hours. That was insane. The amount of snow.
We it out of our houses for 3 days.
Couldn't do it. But it did. The only thing that was good about that year is because the state had to shut down for 4 days. It eradicated the flu at the time because it couldn't spread. Everyone was stuck home.
Yeah. Well, it was 1977. We had the big blizzard here.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, and that was just the wind blowing the snow that was laying on top of the ice on Lake Erie. And like there were people couldn't get out of their houses because the snow was drifted against their doors and their windows, and they were totally isolated from the outside.
Wow, that's crazy. John, what's going on, big man?
Big John.
Hey, John.
I texted Mick. I don't know if he's up or if he's working.
He's probably working, I would think. And also, man, what is it? What time is it in it? They're 6 hours ahead, right?
5.
5. Okay. But yeah. So then, as far as hurricanes are concerned, I mean, they said they were supposed to, be a above average hurricane season. Saw nothing up here. Down in the south, I'm sure there was quite a few, but the last major hurricane that hit Connecticut that was worthy of note was Hurricane Gloria in '85.
My father was gone for 3 months.
Was he?
Lineman.
Oh, he's a lineman. Yeah.
He went up to Massachusetts. Was gone for 3 months.
Wow.
We don't get hurricanes. We get tornadoes. And
tornadoes. Yeah. We had a microburst.
We get a tornado or an earthquake, but we have had small tremor earthquakes and some little tornadoes rip through.
We've had that. No.
Yep. We've had about was it a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, up here, right here in my neighborhood in like Waterbury area. We had a microburst where we had 70-mile-an-hour winds, straight winds, just knock down trees and everything. We didn't lose power, oddly enough, because all of our
that decimated Oxford.
It decimated, yeah. It was very bad over there. Seven feet of snow.
Coming down a little bit.
I can't see it. I don't have the lights on. But
you know all the town employees.
Millimeters they're locked down.
7 feet of snow. Yeah, that mule was fun to work on there. Actually, I didn't take a picture of it yet, but this big 30-year-old dump cart with a mule that's got the 4x4. The guy dropped it off. This thing's massive, and I'm like, it just wouldn't stay running because the jets were completely plugged. But it needs a hell of a lot more than just a carburetor clean, unfortunately. But he doesn't want to put too much money into it. He's like, no, it's been around for 30 years. We'll just let it run for a little bit longer, and when it dies, it dies.
We don't have enough room to work on anything major size. We used to do ATVs, and we quit doing that. Just take
this is the first time I've worked on a mule. I mean, it's a Kawasaki liquid cooled dual cylinder. Yeah. It's nothing I haven't seen before. It's just a pain in the ass to work on it because you have to pull the dump bed all the way up just to get underneath, and there's so small a space. I already have a small scrape on the back of my head from hitting my head on it. And then what's weird is that because it's liquid cooled, the carburetor is exposed. Right. It's got the air box remotely located. So if it's in the winter, it actually has coolant lines that goes to a block that is mounted to the side of the carburetor. So as the engine warms up, the hot coolant will go to the carburetor and warm up the carburetor so you don't have to choke it. So it makes sure that it atomizes the fuel. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Have you guys worked on any of the new Cub Cadet riding mowers that have got that automatic cruise control for the throttle?
No. Nope.
Haven't come across that yet, no.
I don't know if you want to come. I'm hating it if we get one because I hear you can't even test the module. It's got a module that works the throttle.
No.
Well, you don't have a throttle lever now. You got a box, an electronic unit
stepper motor
controlling your speed, eh?
Yep.
And they're saying that if you've got issues, supposedly you can't even test this module if it's any good or not. It's kind of like the spark setter that's on the John Deere's, on the Kawasaki's. That little box that's mounted to the engine.
Yep.
Can't test if you're any good. It's either going to give you spark or it's not going to give you spark.
Yeah, because they don't want you to work on the individual boards. I'm helping out a guy on the Gentech forums right now. He's got a 17.5 kW portable generator. It's the Generac Ultra Source basically, and I wouldn't call it portable. This damn thing is heavy. Never encountered one except the 15,000. I used to own that one, but he's having the same kind of issue where the engine speed is not working right. It's up and down. It's over speeding and then shutting down. It doesn't hold the speed. And I said, well, that could mean a whole bunch of things. Either the idle control board, which is $350 by the way, and it's non-serviceable. It's all potted in epoxy resin. And I've never taken one apart because you can't find a schematic for it. With enough time, you could probably figure it out, but for the cost, it's just not worth it. So we went and spent the money. He thought it was a stepper motor because the stepper motor, they have plastic gears inside. The orbit and planet gears are made of plastic, and uh, he changed it out, and it's still doing. I says, well, it could either be the idle control board, or it could be there's a current sensing transformer. There's two of them that's sensing the engine speed, or you could have a mechanical governor issue, which is very possible, or it even could be a clogged carburetor. I mean, he keeps gassing it all the time. It's hard to say. With those stepper motors, things get a little more complex than normal.
We'll leave that stuff to you, Gare.
Even the generator, that Furman generator. That Furman generator has got.
He still hasn't picked it up.
Still, you still have it?
Yep.
Oh man,
I'm gonna charge him rent.
I would be charging him storage now. I mean, I've only had that. Sue and I have only had that happen. Actually, I can't even remember. No, I don't think we've ever had that happen.
What's that?
We never had people like not pick up.
I think I've had a piece of equipment here for 2 weeks, and when the guy picked it up, I said it was almost like it was part of the family, and I was going to start charging rent.
Wow.
I got shit all on top of it anyway. If he
Yeah.
you have to dig it out.
Last couple of years ago, we picked up a John Deere riding motor, and guy says, I haven't got spark, and that's a brand new igniter that's on there.
Mm-hmm.
So just get me so this thing runs. And if it needs a carb job, give me a call.
Yep.
So we brought it home and we started working on it. Jake and I spent 7 hours tearing that wiring harness completely apart, checking continuity on every wire, looking for where this thing was grounding out. Couldn't find anything. And finally, Jake says, he says, maybe it's that igniter. Maybe it's a bad igniter. And I said, well, the guy said it's brand new. So
yeah, you know what new means. Never.
Yeah, it was a year old when we went and bought an aftermarket one for $40, and we put it on. The thing fired right up.
Wow.
And I called the guy and I said, how new? Where'd you get this? Like, you can get your money back. It's no good. Oh, he said, I bought that last year.
That was an expensive bill.
Oh man.
We gave him a break. We cut it in half.
You're more generous than I would have been. I would have been swearing at it.
Oh, that's exactly what was happening.
Oh, I would be swearing at it too.
I worked on 9 already this weekend, snowblower. So
yeah. And what kind of problems? I mean, most of them are fuel related, I would imagine.
Mostly, yeah. Mostly fuel, but one of them I'm still working on out in the driveway in Noma. He wanted me to do one thing to it. I did the one thing to it, and then I found 10 other things.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of belts here, idler pulleys that have to be changed.
Yep. I've actually been the most that I can handle every weekend is about 2 to 3 machines a weekend, because I have limited storage space, and especially if I have more than one rider, that really takes up the space, because I don't want to keep things outside if I don't have to underneath the tarp. But
sure.
With the snow blowers, when people call me and they're like, hey, we have to have it done, it's not running. I says, well, how old is the machine? And I can be a little difficult, I will admit, but I will ask them, what's the model number? And if I find that it's more than 10 years old, I tell them there's a premium cost if it's more than 10 years old. Now, I don't mind telling them that, because at that point, you don't know what condition these things are in, and you don't know what to expect. And for the amount of money that you're going to spend, if it's just belts and idlers, it probably needs a lot more than that. Probably needs a new scraper bar, new shoes. It probably needs the tires are probably dry rotted because they probably haven't taken good care of it, or that's been left outside. And I say to him, I was like, you're going to spend at the very minimum. They see the $100 plus, parts for my full service. And I'm like, okay, well, full service doesn't include changing any of those components. If I have to split the machine apart, that's a lot of work. That's a lot more work than $100 would cover, unfortunately. But
I've seen a lot of people say, like, I don't want to spend a lot of money. I'd rather go out and buy a new machine.
Yep.
And I tell them, when's the last time you went and looked at what they cost?
Yeah,
I know.
The cheap ones, and I'm going to tell you, these like $8.99, $6.99 snow blowers.
Yeah, those were $4.99 3 years ago.
They're like Bic lighters. Like you're gonna use them for the first year, and if you get into some like decent snow, you're gonna have them at a repair shop changing belts and stuff's bent up, and it's not really great quality materials.
Yeah, I mean that's it.
The old ones are made to last. Like those heavy. Like I just flipped over a 1032 Craftsman. It weighed like a dump truck. Like I mean, my back's killing me for putting that up in the maintenance position.
Yeah, I mean, and I say to people, I was like, look, you know, they have. I've seen the John Deere 1032. I went to this guy's house to go pick it up, and he's like way north of me. We're talking. It did it as a favor. One time we went all the way up to Goshen, Connecticut. That's way far out there. And I went to the guy and I said, listen, you know, went up here as a favor, and took one look at it. I pulled the cord, no compression at all. Popped the spark plug out. The valve was bent. Right. You know, you could see that it wasn't sealing. I says, listen, for the amount of time that I'm going to spend on this, you know, my time is worth something. It's at least 2 hours, maybe more, depending on what I find in there. I might need to, and the parts for it to come to the engine. You know, you're going to probably be somewhere in the $300-400 range. Oh, I don't want to spend that much, and it's too old of a machine. I said, all right, well, you know, just wanted to throw that out there. Mm-hmm. But I try to avoid, to be honest, I really do try to avoid working on stuff greater than 10 years old because I consider it an antique at that point.
Yeah, see, with me, it's the opposite. I love the older stuff, and people always bring me that because I have so many like old parts laying around.
Yeah, but that's what helps. Yeah. You know, for me, I mean, I have a 2002 John Deere, but you know, the parts are still available and whatnot. That's the oldest machine that I have. Everything else is newer. But when like I did the Honda, there was 3 Honda riding mowers that from the late 80s, early 90s. I restored them all. Everything from timing belts, bearings, pulleys, drive shaft, everything was replaced. Flushed out the transmission. Guy paid very well for it because he collects them. But you know, that's the only time I would, you know, do that, because anytime I see, you know, the homeowner special that's been beat to crap, if they're not willing to spend more than $100 or $200 on it, I'm like, that's not worth my time.
Yep. But one thing that with this guy here, that's the one that driving the Noma, I said to him, I said, I can't let you take it. He goes, why not? It's not safe. Yeah. I said, right now, the guy jerry rigged up a belt. Yeah. It's constantly spinning the minute you start it. Okay. And when you engage the idler, it's so loose, the belt, as far as the way it's supposed to work with the linkage.
Yep.
That the carriage bolt that holds on the front idler for the auger, half of the bolt is missing because it hit the idler for the drive, the traction.
Yeah.
And I started out with ding, 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 sparking. It's actually sparking.
Jeez.
And half of the bolt's missing. And you know how your idlers are shaped like an H? Well, now it's shaped like an L because the right side's gone.
Gone.
Yeah. It's totally gone. And I said to him, I said, I can't let you take it like this. Oh, it'll work. I said, I know it'll work. I said, but if your children, your dogs, your cat get killed, you're going to sue me. And I said, I don't want. Well, I didn't tell you to do that. I said, doesn't matter. It's here. Yeah. I own it now. It's on my property.
People suck.
Yeah. No, but you got to make
really
it right.
Do.
You know, lawsuits, right?
Yeah, they really do. And
I got to go have supper. The wife is calling. Time for bacon and eggs.
All right. See you, Wayne.
Thanks for having me up. See you, Kenny. Take care.
Good to see you, Wayne. Take care.
Yeah, I'm going to go too, Gary, at dinner time.
Yeah, no, I think we're coming up here in about an hour and 20 here. Yeah, no, power to you. I mean, to work on those older machines.
This Noma is 1994.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like I said, power to work on that older stuff. It's not that I can't fix it. I just don't want to get involved with that large of a. It's a restore project at that point.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like is there's so much grease built up. Like I'll take off the pan on the bottom. Yep. There's a half inch of grease, mouse nest, everything else, you know.
Grease, mouse nest, chewed up rubber from the friction disc. It's like this, you know, you can go in there with a putty knife.
All right, let me go. I'll talk to you later.
Bud. Be well.
Take care.
Take care.
Everybody in the chat, see you.
See you, everyone. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining with me and with Ken and Wayne. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll probably have another follow-up here later this week or this coming weekend. I'll I'm all done with machines for the holidays. Probably our next machine's probably not going to be until after the new year. After I think like the second week of January, we're going to start picking up machines again and getting back into it. But it gives me a little bit of a break to kind of catch up, spend some time with the family, really, and do what I need to do around here. But until the next time, guys, thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next live.